Hello and welcome to Broadsword Wargaming. My name is Oliver.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to do that. No, do the original one again, it was good.
Hello and welcome to Broadsword Wargaming. My name is Oliver and today I am joined by Kira, and in this video we are going to see just how long it really takes to paint a box of Warhammer. Yes, it is finally time for us to get our hands on Skaventide, the newest edition of Age of Sigmar, and this is one that I know Kira is excited for, as am I. And although these are the models we are going to be painting, the idea of this one is hopefully a little larger than that. It isn't just applicable to the things you see here. Time is difficult to manage for all of us, and Kira and I have just had a newborn baby, so getting her and myself together in the studio is a little harder. Most of what you'll see from her will be painted on her Twitch stream, whilst I'll be managing, hopefully, to paint a little more on camera.
This is the worst. We need to get this done.
We do.
Okay.
Time is against us.
Yes.
The tide is arriving.
Of Skaven.
Skaventide! Kira did just figure out that's why it's called Skaventide, because there's a tide of Skaven.
You have to send me all these outtakes.
Did you think they were called, this is an outtake, did you think they were called Skaventide?
Well, yeah, but I didn't actually think about it. I just never made the connection.
You've worked in a hobby shop for 3 years.
You were like talking about Skaventide, and then you said the Skaven, and I was like, oh, they're Skaven. It's Skaven.
Oh, right there.
No, don't do the voice. We're finally here with the Skaventide video because people have been asking us non-stop.
Where's Skaventide?
Give us the Skaventide video.
Why haven't you painted Skaventide?
So we're here to answer your questions and power through this box and see how quickly we can get it done in a relaxed sort of time frame. We're not putting any time pressure on ourselves. I'm gonna paint the Stormcast and you're gonna paint this.
The Skaven, yeah. And that's it, we're not doing a 24-hour video. It's not a 12-hour box paint. I still want to do a nice job on these, right? We should enjoy the hobby. And there's so much pressure in life in general that we don't need to put pressure on to do something like this.
Exactly, so we're just going to have a chill time and get these painted and see what happens.
First off, we need to get the models assembled. Now this set does come with an absolute ton of miniatures for both the Skaven and the Stormcast. Lots of new sculpts, lots of lovely miniatures. Kira, as always, kind of neglects to do this bit. She hates putting models together, so that all kind of falls to me. These are really simple to put together. They're push fit. You don't actually need any glue to get them stuck together. Normally, that would mean clipping down any of the little pegs where they join, but I found you didn't actually even need to do that with these. They are very well designed and stick together very comfortably. To make things a little easier for ourselves, we decided to just paint the spearhead parts of this box. That means it's about half of the Skaven and half of the Stormcast. Still plenty of the cool models, but it's something we will use as I don't really plan on making Skaven an army moving forward. With a bit of YouTube magic, check this out. Wow, would you believe it, what a transition. All of the miniatures are now suddenly together. Kira has 5 Liberators, 3 Prosecutors, a leader on a Griff Charger and a model on foot. For the Skaven, there are 20 Warriors, 3 Rat Ogres, a Grey Seer, an Engineer, and the model mounted on the big disgusting rat. There's quite a lot to do, we've got a lot to get stuck in, but I'm really hoping we can get a good start on this. For me, I'm going to start off spraying my miniatures with Mechanica Standard Grey, and then using Grey Seer as a Zenithal. It did take me a really long time to pick a scheme after having tried so many first, before I finally settled on one that I think I'm happy with. This was, for the scheme I did, probably the best way to undercoat the miniatures. As you can see here, these are all the kind of failed attempts. Had I used a black spray can with white zenithals or something else, maybe the contrast wouldn't have worked so well. I am aiming on not using my airbrush at all, as having done a previous video, the Leviathan one, lots of people found they themselves don't have an airbrush. So to start us off, I use snakebite leather contrast, fairly heavily put onto any of the leather parts of this model. Do try and be careful and make sure you don't get this on any of the already other grey seared parts, as we're going to use that as the undercoat a little later on. Then using Baylor Brown and a relatively rough brush, we use a directional dry brush to give us some nice edge highlights. For any of the wooden parts, mainly the shields, I'm going to use Wildwood contrast quite heavily applied over the top of them. It gives us a quick, no fuss finish, and we can be here at this point in no time at all. Next up, it's the tails, and there are quite a lot of these, one for every model, plus one for every single rat on the base or on their shoulders. I use Leia Pink Horror, and then with Juchi Violet washed over the top. With good progress made, let's check in and see how Kira's getting on.
Okay, let's paint up some Stormcast. I'm going to spray them with Lead Belcher to begin with because that is the main colour on these guys, and Lead Belcher spray is a beauty. It does a really good job and it saves you loads of time. It is on the pricier side though. These prosecutors I have loved since I first saw the pictures of them before the box came out, so I'm super glad I have the opportunity now to paint them up. So I had tried to spray a lighter silver over the lead belcher to give a nice highlight, but that didn't really work out for me. It ended up really sparkly, so I don't do that on the rest of them. On the rest of them, I just give a little dry brush with the light silver, and that worked better. Cantor blue for all the dark blue bits. And then we move on to the wings. Airbrushing, Incubi Darkness, Thousand Suns blue, Ahriman blue, and I think Temple Guard blue as well. Is how I got this really nice colour. And then I thought I'd go fancy and use some flow improver mixed with some white paint to get in all the recesses and put blue over it to make it glow. This did not work. I wish I did not do this. I should have airbrushed a little bit of white onto there and it would look a lot better, because then I end up having to go over it with blue a lot to get rid of those harsh lines. But you know, we try, we experiment. That's how we learn new things. Annoyingly, then I have to do it on all three to make them look the same, even though I knew I didn't like it. But I was happy with how they turned out in the end anyway. Dry brush a little bit of Incubi Darkness on the end to get them a little bit darker, and Bob's your uncle. Now I did have a hard time matching all three wings, as you'll see now. I actually think I managed to get the wings looking pretty similar, even though I did forget what colours I used. Don't use your leader as a test model like I did either. This is not good. Don't do that. Retributor armor topped with Gilliman flesh. You absolutely can't go wrong. I use this on all my goals. I try not to, but I always come back to it because I love it. And then finally do some gradients to make it make it pop. I use Ice Yellow from Vallejo because it always looks good. I've got my favorite Darktide t-shirt on. Do I play Darktide? No, I don't. Fake gamer.
Do make sure to check out Kira's Twitch stream. I'll leave you a link down there in the comments below. Now, next up for us is the flesh. I had a really difficult decision to make on how I'd go about this. I ended up using various flesh or brown contrast paints over any of the fleshy or hairy parts of these models. Oddly, there's actually not a lot of fur on them. It's mostly weird mutated flesh, so that seemed the way to go. From here on out, it's just filling in the rest of the details. Lead belcher, Runelord brass, I used red for the eyes, bones for the nails and the toes, and that kind of finished off the rest of the models. The last major part was the grey cloth. I used the grey sear base we already had, gave it a quick directional dry brush, and then used a really thin down Nuln wash all over it, making sure not to let it pool in those recesses. I did loads of painting in 3-hour stints at home over the next week or so to get us up to the point we are at right now. And although I was happy with how everything was going, it's here where I was hoping the magic would happen. I've got all of the Dirty Down products, and I'm going to show you this in real time. I've thinned down the Dirty Down verdigris with water to a wash-like consistency, making sure to have preheated the model and the bottle with a hairdryer already. Then, when you leave it there and it's still wet, pull out the hairdryer and point it straight at the model, and you will see the effect happen right here, right now. It's like actual magic. I don't really know what's in that or how it does it, but it makes everything look so much better. And finally, it's the basing. I'm going to try out something different. Although I wanted a brighter, more contrasting base colour, I always do a desert or a snowy base. So I wanted to try using the AK Interactive Mud Ground with a bit of Geek Gaming Base ready on top. And then just to add a splash of colour, I used some dark green foam flock to finish off the remaining look of the base. Stick on a couple of tufts and we are done. Before we see the Skaven complete, let's jump back and see how Kira got on in the end.
And here are the completed minis, all 7 of them, which isn't very many. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I tried out a lot of new things along the way. Some worked, some didn't. But with that, I'm actually really happy on how they turned out. The scheme is relatively easy, yet I think pretty impressive. And I just can't wait to field an entire army of these. I never thought I'd be so enamored by... Enamored? Is that a word? By Stormcast? I'm going to go out and buy myself a dragon to celebrate when I get the rest of these done.
I think that is a dragon well earned. For my part on the Skaven side, I did manage to get everything complete. In fairness, I had a lot more spare time, kind of, than Kira did to get everything done, so well done to her for getting as far as she did. There were a few things I may have done differently with my scheme. Having settled on the grey, I think we probably went about it the best way possible. Not using the airbrush was a bit of a handicap for myself, but I wanted to make sure you guys could find things more useful and, techniques you could use there yourself. The Dirty Down products made a massive difference at the end and really improved the overall standard. I have to say I enjoyed these far more than I thought I would. A couple of the test schemes there that didn't quite work out, and I was very tempted to go for the green, but wanted to try something different. The red for me on the leader didn't quite work out, but with more time, I'm sure it would in the end. And with that, let's head back to the studio and catch up with Kira. Okay, there you have it. You've seen the process from the start to the end. How did we do?
We did some stuff,
Yep.
but we didn't do all the stuff. But you did all the stuff that you wanted to do of the stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's basically the essence of this video. I'm quite proud to say, actually, I did manage to finish the Skaven Spearhead, something I didn't think I would do because I kind of hate Skaven.
Yeah.
By the end of this, I kind of like painting them. I know, it feels wrong. And I didn't even do them in like a super cheaty, speedy way. I used a lot of contrast
really
paints,
good.
but I really enjoyed them. What happened with the Stormcast? Why didn't we get them finished?
It just takes forever.
Painting takes a long time. And we did recently have a baby, so that means one of us is basically on baby duty while the other one's painting.
Yeah.
I'm more capable of using the camera on my own than you would be.
My plan was to get the majority of my painting done on stream because that's like 2 or 3 hours a couple of times a week. But I just blabber on and don't get anything painted. So then I had to narrow it down to like 10 or 20-minute sessions here and there. And it's really hard to get into painting in a 10 or 20-minute session because it takes that long to get your flow. So that's quite difficult. If you only have little amounts of time to set aside to do it, it can be really hard to get that flow going. And that's what I found because I found myself spending an entire painting session doing one little shoulder pad blend, which is not the way to be painting if you need to get a whole box done. But I wanted them to look good. I'm happy with how they're looking. And I think once they're all done, they're gonna look amazing. It's just not doable in the time frame we had, basically.
Yeah, and it's been about a month for us here, but that's okay. And I think that's kind of part of this, right? It's like you want to enjoy the process. You love the models. The new Age of Sigmar models are awesome, all of them. The Stormcast are really cool. The guy on the Griffin, awesome model. If you just rushed him off and got him done, is that really the point?
Yeah.
So taking your time and enjoying the process is good. I ended up getting a couple of like 3-hour stints in. I kind of work until 2 a.m. right, between 10 and 2, or 10 and 1, so it's knackering. But finding that like lump of time, like I say, is much better. 20 minutes, it takes you 10 minutes to find your paints.
Yeah.
So don't worry, like if you don't get everything done, there's always more time, right, generally.
Yeah. And in summary, like how did you find the actual box? What do you think of the box itself?
Oh, the models are awesome. New Age of Sigmar,
So good.
the models are really good. I genuinely enjoyed the Skaven. Like, I don't think I turned them into an army.
When they came out, I was like typing away. I was like, Skaven, who wants Skaven? It was like me.
Yeah, loads of people.
Maybe I'm the problem.
I've fallen into liking them. Now, would I run them as an army? Probably not.
Yeah.
But having them as a spearhead is quite cool because spearhead's a really cool system. And I've played a few games now. And I'm quite looking forward to getting the box set against each other, all painted up, and getting trying some other armies out as well. So hopefully you've taken something from this video. The main thing is like we've shown you some techniques, we've tried some different things out, and I want you guys all to feel a little better if you don't have the time to finish your boxes.
Because we don't.
Because we don't.
But we have fun.
Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please
Thanks for
make sure
watching.
to like, share, subscribe, hit the alarm bell down below. There's a Patreon down there. If you're in the EU and you haven't yet bought Skaventide or you want to buy additional bits, we do have a hobby store here in the west of Ireland where we sell hobby stuff. Probably all the things you've seen in this video, we sell them as well. So, you can always support us that way. Or otherwise, just give us a like and spread the love. So we'll probably catch you in the next one, whatever we're doing. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll catch you again.
Skaventide.
Skaventide.